Welcome to Tarik Talk, a podcast exploring art, culture, and the stories that shape creative lives. I'm your host, Tarik Mendes, and each episode I sit down with artists and creative thinkers to talk about process, inspiration, and the moments that shape who we become. Thanks for being here. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to Tarik Talk. Walking into the Whitney Museum during the 2026 Biennial, you begin to feel how the boundaries between the museum and the city start to dissolve. The Whitney, positioned at the edge of downtown Manhattan, has always been connected to its surroundings, but in this biennial, that connection feels especially alive. Curated by Marcela Guerrero and Drew Sawyer, the 2026 Biennial brings together artists who are deeply engaged with movement, through space, through systems, and through lived experience. It's an exhibition that doesn't just exist inside the museum, but extends beyond it. And Taína H. Cruz's work captures that energy in a direct, physical way. Her large-scale drawing, created specifically for a curved wall inside the Whitney, immediately pulls you in. There's something raw and immediate about it. The lines feel fast, almost instinctive, yet at the same time incredibly controlled. And that balance comes from repetition. Cruz practiced this image over and over in her studio, building a kind of muscle memory before executing it on site. By the time she draws it on the wall, the gesture is embedded in her body. The movement becomes fluid, confident, almost automatic. You can feel that in the work. Each line carries momentum. There's no hesitation. It feels like a single continuous act, like something that had to happen all at once. And the curved wall plays an important role. Instead of a flat surface, the drawing wraps around you. It expands your field of vision, pulling you into its rhythm. You don't just stand in front of it, you move alongside it, experiencing it over time. That sense of movement connects directly to Cruz's influences. Much of her work draws from graffiti, the immediacy, the directness, the relationship between mark and surface. Growing up in New York, she associates graffiti with both exhilaration and fear, the thrill of expression, but also the tension of risk, of visibility, of being seen. And that duality is present in the work. There's energy, freedom, and expression, but also a sense of urgency. The lines feel like they exist in a moment that could disappear just as quickly as it appeared. Within the Whitney Biennial, this resonates strongly. This exhibition is filled with artists exploring how identity and experience are shaped by environment. Cruz brings that conversation into the language of the body, into gesture, repetition, and movement. But her work doesn't stop inside the museum. Just outside, at the corner of Gansevoort Street and Washington Avenue, her painting I Saw the Future and It Smiled Back is installed as a billboard. This gesture extends her practice into the public space of the city, returning it to the environment that shaped it. The billboard changes the context entirely. Inside the museum, the drawing is part of a curated exhibition. Outside, the painting exists within the flow of everyday life. Cars passing, people walking, the constant movement of the city. It becomes part of the urban landscape. And that shift is important. Because Cruz's work is rooted in that landscape, it belongs to the street as much as it does to the gallery. By placing the work in both spaces, she creates a dialogue between them, between institutional space and public space, between controlled environment and lived reality. The Whitney itself becomes part of that dialogue. Its architecture, open and connected to the outside, allows these two worlds to overlap. You move from the curved wall inside to the streets outside, carrying the energy of the work with you. And what stays with you is the feeling of movement, of gesture, of presence. Because Taína H. Cruz's work in the Whitney Biennial 2026 is not just about image, it's about action, about the body in motion, and about the power of a single mark to hold the energy of a moment, a place, and a life lived within it. Thank you for spending this time with me on Tarik Talk. If this conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and share the episode. You can follow along on social media for behind-the-scenes moments, guest highlights, and what's coming next.